Hey, folks, this is Mr. A appearing as his kind of bootleg Simba baby lion avatar. So, I wanted to introduce you to the P5 JavaScript editor. And I'm going to lead you through a mini project on P5. Okay. So, this is another way to explore JavaScript from your browser. Here's how you get started. So you can type in the search P5 and you'll see P5 editor, right? If you don't see editor, you just type in editor. You go to it, P5 web editor, and you click on it to go there. All right. When you start P5, it's going to automatically open up what's called a sketch, okay? And it starts up with some JavaScript code that is in here, the editor, and then you're going to preview the results over here on this side, right? If you press this play button, you're going to see the results of the code, right? This code is basically going to create a canvas that is 400 by 400 pixels, and then it's going to draw a background, right? So those numbers, if I change 400, etc., it'll change the size of this canvas. But also, if I change this number from 220, let's say I do something like, I don't know, 200, right? You can see the effect that that's going to have. It basically just changed the color a little bit, right? To a darker color. So I'm going to get the code for what we're going to do. We're going to explore something kind of like a combination of art and coding. We're going to explore something called a Moire pattern, right? And I'm getting this from a book called Super Fun P5 JavaScript Projects for Beginners, right? And so we're going to first start off with this code right here. We're going to change the canvas size so that, let me just make this bigger so you can see it. We're going to change the canvas size so that it's 720 by 500. And then we're going to choose the background of 220 if it's not already the case. Okay. So we're going to make this 720. I think that was about 500. And we're going to make the background. If you didn't change it, that's fine. You can leave it 220. I'm going to run this. You're going to see the canvas is now a different shape, kind of like a rectangle. And let me reduce the size of my browser window by pressing Control on my keyboard and minus. I'm zooming out a little bit so I can see my whole canvas. Actually, let me zoom back in because I want you to see my code. Okay, so now let's go back to the instructions here. So that's my first step. I have my canvas. And my next step is, let me close up this graphic. All right. Now my next step, okay, don't pause the recording. Okay, so my next step, okay, we go to the next page here. All right, so my next step is I'm going to start by making an ellipse in the center of the canvas, right? So how do I draw an ellipse? Well, we are basically going to follow this code here to make an ellipse, all right? Let me move this guy over here. Okay, so we're going to follow this code here to make the ellipse, right? Right here. After the create canvas and after the background, you see there's that semicolon, super important. We're going to put these lines of code. Okay, move this over. this over so I can see it better. Okay. This is where having a Windows computer really does not help. Do you see my frustration, people? Do you see it? Okay. So let's go back to our code. Okay. Go back to the editor. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is after that background semicolon, I'm going to press enter to get a new line. Okay. And I'm going to put in a new function to draw, to start doing an ellipse, right? So it's going to be first no fill. Oops, that should be lowercase. The um, the capitalization is really important when you're coding in JavaScript. Capital F. So lowercase no, capital F-I-L-L. Just the F is capital. And then I need an open and close parentheses. So that no fill means that the ellipse that we draw is going to have no color inside of it, right? It's filled with no color. Then we're going to type the word stroke, open parentheses. And inside the open parentheses, you notice when I did my open parentheses, it automatically put the close parentheses for me. I'm going to put in what's called a string. You remember that if you started with Grasshopper, right? A string in JavaScript starts with the like looks like a an apostrophe, and you see it already put the close apostrophe for me. Then I'm going to type in the word purple. Okay, so stroke purple. The stroke is the outline of your shape. And now we're going to type the word stroke. So you can think of it like the stroke of a paintbrush. Stroke weight, capital W and lowercase everything else. Stroke weight, that is how thick the outline of the ellipse is going to be. And we don't need the quotation, the apostrophes, because a number, you can put a number as the argument inside the parentheses for the stroke weight. Okay. And then we're going to tell it, okay, what shape do I want to draw with no fill, color purple? We're going to put ellipse, that's two L's. So ellipse, and then we're going to put a series of numbers for the argument. 360, 250, there's a comma after each, 50, comma 50, right? So these are basically the dimensions of the shape that is going to be drawn. So now I'm going to run by clicking on that triangle, and I'm going to have this small purple ellipse in the middle.